I'm, s- I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. Hello, for gaming community and Beyblade community as a whole. We are here today for our third interview. Myself, Stay Cool, man, Crisis Crusher, and we have a very, 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 very special guest today, Shindog. And I'm gonna let you introduce yourself in 1 second. I wanted to say thank you all. I know this is our third episode. Thank you for the support. We have had audio issues in the past. I will tell you that this podcast is ran by a couple of dads, and we enjoy and love Beyblade. Thank you for your patience. I know sometimes the audio quality wasn't the best, and like we have a lot going on, but bear with us, and hope you continue to enjoy the show. All right, so without further ado, Shindog, hello and welcome.
Hi, so let me introduce myself. I'm also a dad, a Beyblade dad. I host mostly out of the greater Los Angeles area. I probably started with Beyblade in probably towards the end of 2017.
Mm.
I think I went on to, or got on the WBO staff, the volunteer staff. I don't remember exactly when, but it was before the pandemic.
Okay.
It's like BC and AD these days. It's pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember now.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was pre-pandemic, but I don't remember when pre-pandemic.
That you started being a host.
Staff. I started hosting probably a year into it. After I found out about Beyblade. I mean, I well, that's not true. I found out about Beyblade like 20 years ago. I'm older than Beyblade by a lot. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most kids that play are not. I am greatly older than Beyblade.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
think I think we're all up there because I'll talk to you before
Yeah.
about it, and I know you're older than me, but not like not too much. But yeah, we're all three of us are
From before
generations
Beyblade
of before
starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Beyblade probably came out when I was in like junior high or high school. The manga.
Hmm.
Even then we had manga wasn't as big of a thing, but
No.
even then we had like they were passed around and stuff like that. There weren't that many copies. It wasn't accessible like now.
Right.
Someone would go to Japantown and buy one for like $15 back then.
Oh yeah.
It's all in Japanese, and you can't really understand what's going on.
I had
Just
to.
looking
Oh,
at the
okay.
pretty pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even really know that they were Beyblades. Like, oh, he's throwing like this tiny little machine that spins.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because you couldn't read it. So anyway, but I knew of it, but I didn't really knew it was a game really even until maybe like 2016, 2017.
Oh. Yeah. I didn't know that, and I was gonna ask you like what is my first question, like what got you into Beyblading? I thought that you were uh the WBO. I know it's been around. I think we talked to Geester last time since 2008. I thought you had been with it for a while. I didn't know you just.
Oh no. Yeah, it's new to me. So how I started was Disney XD,
Mhm.
because the show was on Disney XD. That's Beyblade Burst.
Yes.
Right.
So at that time, in the United States, Toys R Us still existed. So you can go into Toys R Us and you see the Beyblades there. You could buy it. And so my kids, they watch the TV and then they want to go to Toys R Us and buy this stuff. And that's how we bought some Burst Beyblades, and I actually hated them because
You.
they blow up,
Yeah. You didn't like
and
that?
I couldn't put them back together because I don't know if you turn left or right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so they were really annoying. So I went on to eBay, or maybe it was probably eBay, and I bought some Metal Fight Beyblades
Mhm.
because they don't blow up.
Yeah.
And then I have, because my kids were really young, so if they get, if they burst, I have to be there to put them back together.
Hmm.
That's not the whole point of having them have toys.
Yeah, because it's not fun.
Yeah, they have to
gotta
leave you
do all the
alone.
work.
Yeah, right. I gotta go play with this. When
Yeah.
I want to play, sure, but when I don't want to play, it's got to entertain them, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you guys are dads, that's not how
Yeah.
toys work.
Yes.
When
Yes.
I want to play, it's okay. But when I don't want to play, I don't want to play.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. So we bought some Metal Fight, and then I on Amazon I got some more episodes of the Metal Fight Beyblades. But to be honest, like as a family, we got bored of the anime pretty quickly.
Yes.
It's okay. I know I'm gonna get like killed for saying this
Nah, be
because we have a
honest. Be
lot of
honest, because I
yeah,
I agree with you, and I'm sure like
yeah.
probably on the
We have some very very like strong fans with strong feelings for the anime, but I never really it's okay, but the manga I'm always a manga reader anyway. The anime don't do as much for me,
Mhm.
but the anime is just okay. So they stopped watching. They still play with the Beyblades a little bit. And then I found out, I don't even know how. I probably went on, if you go on Google now, if you search like top 10 Beyblades,
Mhm.
there'll be like these lists. And for whatever reason, that took me to the WBO. Like I was just looking at one of those lists, and they're terrible lists. Like
Same. I know what
I
you're saying.
just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're terrible. But anyway, so I got that, and then I found out that people host at that time was probably Alta, JoJo,
Mhm.
the Baytuber, and Thai, Tacking Thai that were they host events in my area, in LA, about 12 miles away from me. So we went to a couple of tournaments, um, and I really liked it. At first, I took my kids. My son was playing. I didn't really play,
Yes.
but I met who's not really playing. I met Law, or what is it? King Lufa.
King Lufa.
He's like,
I've
oh
heard of
yeah,
them.
yeah. So you should play. So he's teaching me. And he's like, this is how So he taught me a lot, and I got into it, and I got really into it. Here I
Clearly, yeah.
am now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like he really gave me some really bad like financial decisions, I think. Yeah, that's really probably what's the result of all that.
Yes.
Yeah, like I could have had a lot more,
Yeah.
like stocks or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
but
good.
here I go. I have lots of Beyblades.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't go create a whole story like me. It like consumes your life. That's what happened with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens, but I always had one of these things. I was a big uh Magic player for about 20 years, and I was very into it, but the schedule of playing Magic just didn't suit my life anymore after kids. I had to give that up. So I always had that little bit of a collector, game player competitive gene in me, but Beyblade, it's a little better. It's not, the hours are better.
Mhm.
Magic players' hours are not conducive for having a family. Let
Yeah.
me tell you, if you're serious about it, it doesn't work.
Oh yeah. I know plenty of Magic players.
Yeah, it doesn't work. You get
Crisis.
divorced.
Crisis is he's See, I grew up. I think we all grew up playing the trading card games or part of that area.
Yeah,
Crisis. He still play. He just like quit playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It's hard because the hours are late. I mean, if you're serious, right? If you go to a big
Yes.
event,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's not. You can't like your spouse or your partner, your kids.
talking about
Well,
It's
money though.
hard.
that
I felt like
what
with the trading card game, I felt like it was way more expensive with trading cards than it is
Yeah,
with
that
Beyblades.
too.
yeah.
That
'Cause
too.
to get that was one of my things too. Because I mean, I love competition. Um, but I know to build a deck or Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic, and you're looking for those
Oh yeah,
specific cards, you go through tons of money. Like here, we're fine. You
yeah,
get one Beyblade a month,
yeah,
for the course of a year. 12 different Beyblades. Um, well, you had the variant, the random boosters and things like that, but it's not as much. And you can honestly do well if you just get a legit combo. But when it comes to the meta for these TCGs, man, you dump out a lot of money, a whole lot.
yeah. Well, the fact that you can buy a Beyblade, but you can't go to the same company like Hasbro,
Hmm.
or they own Wizards, so you can't go like buy a card, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
buy a single from them. You could buy it in the aftermarket, but that's after multiple markups,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and
Right.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
that was one of the bigger issues.
yeah.
I wanted we're hitting on staff. Uh, Let us know how you got into Beyblade. What what do you do within the staff, like, or I guess explain that to us. So if you wanted to ask some of your questions,
Mhm.
Crisis, because I really liked your questions as far as with the staff.
Sure. Let me first say that to be fair to the WBO, like I see my role or what I do for the WBO truly as a volunteer role. So it's like if I went down to the local library and I volunteer there or the Red Cross, I don't speak for the Red Cross or the library.
Mhm.
I speak for myself. I always say I am a WBO member first,
Yes.
organizer second, and then staff third. That's how I came about, to this position anyway, and I still see myself that way. So whatever I say, don't take it as someone speaking on behalf of the WBO. There's only very few people that should do that.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So let me put that out there. Then I can speak freely. I just don't want anybody to get I'm
no.
yeah. Anyway,
you're not speaking for everyone.
Yeah.
No, we get it.
Right. So the way that I think LA was a pretty I would say LA is a pretty big territory at the time. We're smaller now, but JoJo obviously was a very popular Baytuber. Baytubers draw players. It's just the fact of, if you have a pretty big Baytuber, more kids come out, right? They want to. It's almost like a celebrity thing, right? Like they want to meet her, get sick, like they sign my Beyblade, stuff like that.
100%.
So we're pretty big community at the time, and this is probably before you guys, but I don't know if you know that the participant capping is new. When I first came, there is no capping.
Yeah, no, Geetster explained that to me before.
I think you told. I either heard it from Geetster or I heard it from you.
Yeah. So my very first event as a host went really, really poorly because I couldn't cap it. Like just way too many people showed up, and I actually argue for that. Like, oh, this is I just can't. Like this doesn't work. But anyway, because of that. That we were a pretty big territory, if you want to call it that. JoJo, Alta, and Ty, they were all on the staff at some point.
Are you saying Ty or Kai?
Ty, attacking Ty.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just say Ty.
No,
all three organizers, they happened to be on staff. So I joined them. I was kind of working with them to host the events, and I wanted to become an organizer at the time. Mostly because there was already three of them. Then they were pretty prolific organizing, but I used to work much, much worse hours. And the days that they wanted to host, I couldn't go. And I really wanted to go. I wanted to play more. So I basically had to host events so I can go. That's really it. It's all for me. Like nothing that I do for the WBO is altruistic. I'm not a philanthropist. I don't want to pretend.
Yeah.
Everything that I do, it's my agenda.
Hey, no shame in that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know exactly where you come from because up here or over here in Maryland, when I first started, TSO and all of them only really like classic. They don't like standard.
Right.
So I got into the game and I have all this standard stuff and I'm like, well, I want to play, but I can't play the format you guys want to play.
Right.
So the first thing I did was, as soon as I could, I did what I could to become a organizer.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm only hosting standard.
Yeah. So I want to play, so I'm going to get to the point where I can play. Right. I totally respect that, and that's how you grow the community too. You have to get people to want to do it. Right. So the game is good enough, people will want to do it, and then we have to have a way of people doing it. So that's how I became an organizer. Once I was an organizer, and I was already working with people on staff. I think maybe that's why they approached me. I don't know, because I was not part of the selection. I don't know how I got selected. Maybe they asked them. Maybe I don't know. But so staff is not voted in; they're just picked.
Right.
So I have no idea how I got approached. They did. And I was in a few chats with some of the people that were already on staff at the time. So we had discussion and things like that back then. But that's before Discord. We used mostly Line. I
remember.
Chat app,
I remember
Line.
Yeah,
but Line's kind of dead. I mean, people don't really. Mostly everything's moved to Discord now.
It's the first time I heard of it in a long time. I only hear of Discord and WhatsApp now. So.
Geetster talks about the Line chat all the time.
He does.
Yeah, I wasted all my money on those stickers, and I have so many stickers in there. The themes, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how I got selected. They approached me. I said, yeah, of course, and again, I'll be honest. Why did I want to become staff? Well, I figured sometimes I used to propose an event. It would take a long time for it to get approved. So I thought to myself, well, if I was approving my own events, then it'll take minutes.
Huh?
That's
Yeah.
really the reason why. That's really the reason
You
why.
hear that, Crisis?
Okay.
If you wanna get them processed too, so you can see those rankings,
Yeah.
get part of
Yeah.
staff. And
So of course, the question was, what do I do for the WBO? When I first got on, I was approving events and processing them
yeah.
because that's what I wanted to do. See, so that's
Yo,
but
get me
then
in there. That's what I want to do.
yeah. So I did that for a while, and now you'll notice that most of that has gone over to Henwuja.
Yes.
Yes.
And I am now doing mostly, I deal with some of the coupon cards distribution. I do a lot of the proposals. That's not just happens to be me, but I've been doing a lot of those.
Did you say Groupon or coupon?
Coupon. I don't call it a gift card because it's not a gift card. It doesn't meet the legal requirements to be called a gift card. To what they give out, it's a coupon card.
Or
a
you're
coupon
talking
code.
about from Mall Toys or for W?
Mall Toys,
okay,
yes. I was adamant about changing that terminology because it's not a gift card. Legally, it cannot be. It's not a gift card.
Yeah, I found that out because
Right.
I mean I don't use them. Got our store. And,
right.
You know, over here, like a lot of the guys, like we work with them on the East Coast to get the gift cards for our store. But when I did go to Maryland, I did hear about that, and it made me I know how it works. Like on the store side, it is a discount.
Yes.
There's more of a discount code, but it's
a more discount card. Yeah. It, depending on what states, I'm a business owner. My business doesn't have gift cards or coupon codes either, but I kind of know how they work,
Yes.
and they did not meet the legal requirements to be called a gift card. Anyway, I at least I knew that. I knew enough of that just being a business owner. So anyway, that's what I do now. But Henruja does most of the tournament approval and processing. But that was my start in terms of staff. I grade the quizzes. I think people know that a lot of quizzes are graded by me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I grade the quizzes. And then I sort of funnel the people into getting their interviews. The quizzes changed probably since you guys have taken it, right? You guys didn't take the multiple choice. You had the 27 free response question.
Yeah, I think I just had questions. I know I did not have a phone interview. I know that as far as.
No, yeah, that's all new. I kind of pushed for that. I did not like the old 27 question quiz. I didn't think that was the best way to get to know people.
Honestly, to be fair, I agree with you because I do know of. I'm not gonna say their names out loud, but I do know of at least one organizer where they passed it, and they probably shouldn't have passed it.
Yeah, and you'll still find that now. I mean, let's be honest. Our system is not perfect. The quiz right now is a 10-question open book. Ask your mom, ask your dad, ask your friends. Quiz that we don't really change with unlimited time. And you have an interview in 5 minutes where we just want to make sure you're not a criminal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not that and you're saying, well, I'm willing to look things up in the organizer guide and I'm willing to do, follow the rules to the best of my ability. That's pretty much good enough. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't
not
know you
to abduct any kids.
My bad, Mike. What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
I was saying you're not coming to abduct any kids or anything. You know?
Right. That's very important as an organization because we have very young kids. We do have very young kids sometimes.
We do.
Oh, yeah.
Like 4, 5, 6. So we have to be a little careful. We try to protect our members the best we can, and not the parents are not always attentive.
Right. I've gotten to the point now where I have a couple parents that bring their kids, and because they've come so much, they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop him off. Can you keep an eye on him?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him." So then I'm actually watching 4 kids instead of just my own that's there.
Yeah, I'm always kind of careful about that. I was like, I'm not too comfortable. I'd rather you stay, or if you're gonna be gone, like come back in 15 minutes because it's a park, and sometimes we're hosting like in the middle of downtown LA. I mean, I don't know where you guys, I don't claim to know your hosting situations, but we have arrests right during the tournament, right by us, and things like that. I don't want to be responsible for someone else's child
Yeah,
when
no,
things
it's
can go
definitely
badly. Yeah,
it's definitely like an area dependent thing. Like
yeah,
we're in
yeah,
like
like,
we're in a little county, so it's not really, a big thing where,
right.
you
We
know.
used to joke that if we can have a tournament where we don't have to see someone naked, it's a good one.
Yep, come to Maryland, you can have
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, usually that just happens.
yeah. We
That's
we
terrible.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the like the quiz and the process. I always thought it was like that, and we just had our last episode with Geester, and I spoke on the process for it and stringent
Mm,
as far as like for spreading it. I understand uh within the ranked, um but I also well then regardless, I understood the process for becoming an organizer to verify yourself as a real person, because that's one of the things that even I consider, like when I talk to people that want to host FGC tournaments, like I need to talk to them. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Because they
Right,
can't just
right,
be like, oh
right,
yeah, anybody. For one, I don't want to be affiliated with anything crazy or ridiculous.
right, right,
Um, and then secondary, I don't want to send out a newsletter and be like, hey, yeah, y'all go to this park and have fun, and then they show up and it's nothing to do with Beyblade. It's like somebody
right,
just standing there with candy in the back of a truck or something like that.
right. They want to sell you popsicle sticks or
Yeah,
something. God knows what in it,
So it's
right? I
yeah,
mean, regardless how big or small your brand is, it is someone's
it's,
company, like WBO and your company. You have to do something to to protect that, right? I mean, you can't just, right. There's some, you don't want something terrible, so because terrible things can happen, like terrible
yes,
things.
yes. I understand that 100%. I don't.
Yeah.
Only time I felt guilty. I'm not gonna lie, because I was just about to say, like, I never watch people's kids, uh, or when they ask me that, because I don't want to be held responsible. There has been times like Ross will ask me, and because we'll just be hosting together, and I'll do the same. But I'm so bad because when you're organizing and you're hosting, like you'll get caught up, like you'll get called to a judge, and then he come back and he's like, "Hey, where's my son?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry." And then they're with my kids and they're like playing, but they're fine. They're safe because my wife is there. But still, yeah, it is nerve wracking, and I
Sure.
feel bad.
I mean, I probably lost track of my own kids three
I
or four times. That's not
do
a
the
good
same.
feeling.
Yeah,
That kind of
yeah,
sucks, like,
yeah.
whoa, where'd he
Yeah,
go?
and then I feel bad. He comes back. He's like, hey, and then I'm like, oh man, he's over there. But it's tough. He's the only person that I like watch for. I'll watch for Mike too. Mike has never asked, or like close people. But when it comes to like people I just met for the first time, um, or even somebody I'm not really close to, and that's just a responsibility, man. And I don't.
Yeah.
Those are your
Right,
baby.
right.
Well, that's like I'm saying, that's like one of the regular players whose parents have been
Oh,
there,
Right, right,
six
right,
times. They're the ones that have asked, hey, is it okay if he just stays here and play while I go do what I got to do?
right.
Like,
I think it'd
okay,
be super
no
weird if a
problem.
random parent just showed up anyway. It's like, hey man, you want to watch my kid? Like just leave. Like you trust me to
No,
leave
see,
me
that's
with
at
your
least you get
child?
asked.
Huh?
We just get people that like pull up, and the kid that's maybe like 5 to 7 just runs out of the car, and the car just drives off.
Oh
That's sad.
no.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't know what I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and it
You don't know
uh,
me,
uh,
really?
it's sad.
Yeah, I don't allow that. But but also I can't go chase down a car, so it is what it is, I
Yeah.
guess.
Um, Mike, I'm gonna let you hit up because since we're talking about staff, like your questions, and you have really good questions, regarding staff. So if you want
Okay.
to hit him up with yours, go for it, bro.
All right. So the first question you already answered half of it, but it was how long have you been a WBO staff member and how stressful is it to be one?
I don't think it's all that stressful. Honestly, I think when we bring people on, and I'm sure they told me this, I can't remember, of course. They'll tell you it's maybe about 10 or 15 minutes of work a day. That's about accurate. That's about accurate. And you
Okay.
don't have something to do every day, depending on your position. Now, again, I can only speak on behalf of what I've done. And so the organized play team, the moderation team, probably would have something to do. All the spam bots you seen on the main site, like the credit card drops,
Oh
like
yeah,
Yeah.
like the
yeah.
pornography, yeah, like, you name it, escort, like it's a disaster, right? So somebody is is there. I mean, there's a bot, but of course somebody's there is cleaning all that up, right?
Right.
So and then they have to be there all the time because they just keep
I've seen
coming.
them.
So I can only speak for myself. For the OP team, we have, I would say less than 10 minutes for most of us. We don't have a lot to do on a daily basis. We are supposed to sort of have monthly meetings. We don't always. Now, sometimes, I'll spend an entire Sunday doing a proposal, and I do mean the entire Sunday. But I choose to do that. I don't have to do that.
Right.
The Burst GT format.
Right.
That is what you're seeing in terms of what we have of that announcement, that the whole setup. It's probably the third or fourth iteration of what I wrote. And I would say altogether, to put that to the point where you guys see it, is probably a good 20, 30 hours worth of writing. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is.
Well,
Oh, no, I can understand.
Yeah. I'm not the strongest writer, so that has something to do with it too. But there's that's the type of work, but it's not stressful because there's no deadline. I don't even have to do it. It's what I want to do. So if there's any stress, I'm putting it on me, and I only have me to blame.
That's a good way to look at it. I need to look at a lot of things in life like that, because I swear I do not handle stress well. And I I freak out. So I understand what with that question, Mike, because I feel like I would be stressed up there discussing with people about like arguing about the rules or just trying to compromise or to get everyone's viewpoints. I feel like it would be stressed. But the way that you put it into words that's a life lesson for me right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm pretty impatient, so like I don't have to take a Sunday to do it. I could break it up, but patience is not one of my strongest attributes.
Oh, good.
All right, so speaking about like your GT format and everything, so what is the entire process needed to make changes for things such as changing rules or banning parts or creating a new format?
Okay, so this is a long story. When I first came on, the WBO it's been a restructuring. So I don't know if you guys been around long enough. WBO was kind of just this entity of a guy, Brad. He's the founder.
I heard of him.
He founded it, and when he was young, he was young, and he just and he wanted to include other people, and he had. He hired. He didn't hire. I mean, he got this staff, and then they sort of made decisions together, sort of just as a kind of a round table, yay nay type of thing. And they primarily made decisions based on a close to unanimous vote. Okay, and of course, when I came on board, I do have some experiences working for MPOs and NFPOs and things like that, being on the executive board and voting for things. I looked at it and I thought, that's not how an MPO should work. And WBO did legally become an NFPO. So I said, well, we should probably have something more structured, a bylaws or something.
No. I'm not fully aware when all this happened. I'm fairly new to the WBO, but I did see the transition, and I can't remember who I talked to. I think it was when is his name K or Kai?
I call it K.
Okay. He
yeah.
Because I remember him putting up some things for structure, because I know it changed from the nonprofit organization to, what is it, for profit now?
It's still nonprofit, but the fighting spirit is the parent.
I remember when that happened. And my bad, cut you off. I want to say, I remember a little bit of that transition, or I remember seeing like articles or whatever about it, and I didn't know fully what was going on, but I knew like something legal was happening.
Yeah, right. It's because I believe it is Canadian, because K is in Toronto, so obviously this WBO is technically a Canadian company or entity. So to continue with that, why does that matter? So I came and said, well, we should probably have something a little more structured because we're a volunteer organization. Not everybody's going to make it to every meeting. It's very hard to make decisions. It takes a very long time. So it's me. I will have to take the responsibility, blame, or whatever it is for that. I said we should probably have something written down on how decisions are made. So we started working on that, and took pretty much all of the pandemic. Pandemic's not over, so this is not over.
Yeah.
So we're still rewriting it. So the way that we make that's why it's hard to answer that question. We're still working out how we make decisions. It's hard, but generally speaking, this still may change. You make a proposal. At first, it became only staff could make proposals. So there's a low impact proposal and a high impact proposal. A low impact proposal, let me see, it would be like, let's say we take burst standard, for example. We want to ban drift. Okay, that was a topic a few months ago, right? Mm-hmm. That would be most likely a low impact proposal. We're banning one part.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that's so low. It might be something that we could do at a meeting. But if you don't have a meeting coming up, and somebody, a staff member believes, yeah, we should ban drift, then they would write that up. And you would there's a form that Kay created. You would put in documentation like, why do you want to do it? How do you want to do it? What are your data to suggest that we should do it? Do you have any test events? Just things to fill out, and then you fill all that out and you send it in, and then people vote on it. Okay, it takes the number, again, it's in flux, but it still takes a pretty close to unanimous vote to pass something, whatever that is.
Right.
That's a low impact, and if it's passed, then it's passed. So it doesn't involve the directors. The two WBO directors are Kay and Mana, and Babe Brad is also a executive vote. I don't know what they call him exactly, but he's a member. So he's in that next voting group, the executive branch, if you will. Okay, but the lower group, within moderation, they're their own team. Organized play is their own team. We have our own divisional votes, and we can pass low impact.
So you have like a full democracy, like government branches.
Sort of.
To,
yes, we do. It's ideally it was going to be modeled after that, but as you can see, democracy is very hard. Just look at ours.
It's tough. Yeah.
It doesn't always work. Because if it was so great, well, anyway, I don't feel it.
Yeah, it's all. I get what you're
saying. Yeah, it's not the most efficient, right? I mean, but it's almost designed like the check and balance system is not supposed to be that efficient, right? There are a lot of roadblocks, so people, it doesn't have to always work efficiently. So we have this system, and it's a high impact decision, though. So that would be something described like, for example, let me give you another example. The wall bounce rule. You guys are aware?
Yeah.
The wall bounce. Okay. So let's say wall bounce, because wall bounce itself could be considered low impact, but really it isn't, because the wall bounce rule will redefine the play area. So that's a core gameplay mechanic, right? Because what's inbounds and what's out of bounds is pretty basic, right? That's core to the gameplay, because it's like in Yu-Gi-Oh, if your life goes to 0, you're dead. But if you're not dead, that's a big change. Like, can you go into the negatives? Like that's a big change, right? So that's a core gameplay thing. That would be voted in the lower division. And if it passes, then it would go to the higher division or the director level to be voted on. Okay, and that's how it's supposed to work. And the upper division, the executive board, can take any lower division or a low impact proposal and turn it into a high impact one as well. So they get to vote on things that they want to vote on, and they must vote on some of the things that they must vote on.
Crisis, were you about to say something, Mike?
No. I'm just listening.
Yeah. I didn't know it was this in depth. I thought it was like staff will like y'all just look and see and let's just talk. I didn't know that there were the different.
Well, to be fair, it was until they added
Oh,
me to
okay.
the
Then
mix.
you came in
So
and was
Right.
like,
I
yeah,
asked for this. Now I'm not so sure. I have some
yeah,
regrets.
It's AP after
okay,
pandemic. That's
Yes, yeah,
got you. So
right. So I am at
oh,
fault, or I should receive the adulation if it works out.
you
We'll
came in
see.
and you made some big changes. I will say though, it was probably it was your past experience, and I know like some of the generational gaps as far as getting things organized and things like that. But I wanted to ask, is there anything that like our branches of government and any listeners that we had the judicial, legislative, and executive branch from the president, the court system, and just like the House and Senate. Uh that's way beyond Beyblade for what you're thinking, but that is what he is talking about in terms of this. So is there any like veto rights? And my bad, Mike, if
Yes.
I'm cutting into anything, but is there any like veto rights for
no.
like
Oh, so yes. So even if a decision is passed among the lower division, it can be vetoed in the upper division, the executive board. So they require a unanimous vote to pass something when it's a high impact decision. And I also want to bring in, I didn't fully answer this right now. I did just a few for now, of community proposal. So if you remember, um, the Varian
there you go,
driver with
Mike. He
the
brought it up.
infamous
You
one
didn't
now.
bring it up this
Yeah,
time.
yeah. You don't have to. I'm gonna bring it because it's a good example.
Yeah.
So I have a thread on the main site of taking the community
Yeah, I remember
input
that
and putting
thread.
it. And I did write up that proposal. You guys unfortunately can't see it, but I took the gist of that and summarized the best I can. And I confirmed with people that I am representing their ideas, and I proposed that. And I was hoping to set a path of allowing the community to make proposals. I'm not really all that for the idea of only staff being able to make proposals. I think we don't have enough staff for that.
That's
Our community members are very smart people too, and they can make perfectly fine proposals. I did one for that. I did one for the 4D MFE format. I did another one for Magic Horse's spinning definition. Might have done another one. I can't remember. I've done a few. Not all of them have been taken care of, but I'm trying to establish a culture where if you believe in something and you want to do the work for it, if you can find a staff member that will sort of back you, it's kind of like you writing to your congressman, right?
100%.
right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you write to them and say, hey, the water in my city is poisoned. Please do something. And if you get enough people to tell them, they'll probably do something, right? So that's kind of how that's sort of the idea that I had. Not that I'm an elected official, I'm not, but if you can find somebody to present it, and maybe in the future it'll be more streamlined where community will just go straight. But right now the path is you make a thread, a proposal, some sort of a community proposal thread. It has to be on the main side. You can't do it on Discord because it's too hard to search it up.
Yeah.
And then you generally speaking, you have to find a staff member. You could choose anybody to support that proposal and that shares your cause, and then they can propose it for you. I mean, that's the path that I see. This is not written down. I just do it.
That's nice. I will say, Shindog, since I've been on the WBO, because I got in there just like you and Mike. We're dads and we wanted to play, and as we got involved, we of course we saw things we liked, saw things we didn't like, and I know I said the variant driver role because that was something Mike was very passionate about. Like even when it came out, and he I'm not gonna speak for him. I know he want to speak on it, but I guess overall what I'm trying to say is what you said, like being a congressman or someone that we can talk to when we have problems. I want to say I appreciate your responses and your involvement
Oh
on
yeah,
the
definitely.
forum, on the thread, because it is so helpful. Like Ross, I have he's the only other like staff member I can talk to is because him like we talk on a basis, but and I know the other staff is busy, but I wanted to like genuinely thank you that I could talk to you, even if I don't get the answers I'm looking for, because like you may not handle it. At least I know I can get my voice heard, or I can get some response and reply, and I appreciate your involvement with that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
No, I agree. You're actually like one of the few staff members that I think I've ever messaged that actually like messages me back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of staff, they don't check the main site
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't think so.
That's
That's
part of the
fair.
problem. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, they don't go there that often.
That's fair. I mean, I've had conversations where I've been pretty sure that a good amount of the staff members started this when like being part of it when they were younger, and now they're
Mhm.
all hitting like their 20s and whatnot, and maybe some of them
Yeah.
have college and this and that. So
Yeah.
Beyblade's probably more on the back burner for them than it is for like us who have already gone through our 20s and we're all just working dads, and
Yeah.
we're like, well, I've gone through life, so I know some stuff, and I have the
Right.
time. I have the time. I can do this.
Right. And there is, of course, it's not for everybody, but there is a point, I think, in everybody's life where you can't go play Beyblade or Friday Night Magic. There are other things that you want to do or your friends expect you to do. And yeah, be yourself, all that, sure. But at some point, it's not even succumbing to peer pressure. It's just like, I'm 26. I should go do something else. Like rock
Right.
climbing, I don't know, something, like maybe I shouldn't spend these tops. It's I have other things to do. Like they can't devote as much time.
Right.
And a lot of those people will come back. And
Yeah.
that's fine. Because as you age, you change. Like you said, like now our kids are playing, we can get involved, right? But there's probably a point in my time where I can't spin
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I 100% agree with that. I think yeah, I mean I don't really know what to say, but yeah, it's like I feel I'm sorry, man. I'm not I feel like I'm talking in circles right now. I can't like get it out, but yeah, what you answered that perfectly. Life happens, life changes. And
Yeah.
Right. The thing is though is people have to understand that that's okay.
Right.
Like
Right.
like that's what like I've kind of talked to like with Geetster about, not because he's really close friends with like TSO and them.
Sure.
But TSO doesn't get to come out to tournaments really anymore. I think this month is the first month she's hosted in months.
Right.
And
yeah, it is.
it's like I said, like life just happens. Like if it's not your priority anymore, it's not your priority. You don't have to feel bad about that
Yeah.
or anything.
Right.
And that's
So-
what I don't want to see. I don't want to see a staff member just be like, oh, I got to go to this stupid meeting when I don't want to anymore, and
Right,
stuff
right.
like that.
Like if
'Cause
my
then that just
kids
hurts the fight.
were 2.5 and 0, I'm not going to tournaments. I'm not hosting them. Right?
Right.
That's just not going to happen. And a lot of people go through that in life. I mean, really, you say, all right, wife, I'm gone for 4 hours. Good luck with the
Yeah.
babies. You
Right.
can only do that so
Yeah.
many times, right?
I think
Yeah.
I know what I was trying to say because I was getting a little bit choked up, man. Y'all guys are pulling on my emotional strings, whether you're trying to or not. I think it's just the fact of just the serious.
I just
Yeah,
wanna
the
see you
serious, the
cry.
serious talk of it, because I mean I have it, in it is with our kids, and we do get into it, and then life does change and happen, and I have the store, and I don't want to let go of that, but the store to me is more than Beyblade. I will say that the store to me is my hobbies and my enjoyment, and I was
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
like because I love anime, I love the game and lifestyle, but I do remember how it was coming up and the transitions and the different things in my life. And when you said like come back to it, I think that's what made me like choked up because I went through so many stages in my life. Like I'm sure y'all have, and then sometimes it goes full circle. Like
Yep.
because this right now with all of us, from Magic to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or even Beyblade if you played it younger, like it's full circle. Now we're dads, 30s, 40s, and we're sharing it with our kids, But I remember being in our younger
Right.
20s, or younger ages, and you're running around partying, having fun, and you got like different interests, or you're setting yourself up for your future careers and things like that. But
Right, right. Yeah.
it was just nice to think about and to hear that, like, yeah, it does all come back full circle for those that do come back to it. And yeah, it shouldn't be anything. No one should hold anything against them if they any staff members that do take a break or do want some time or anything like that, because we all do have our lives, and I respect that.
Yeah, totally. And just so you know, I one of those famous line chats, I did a comparison of investing in the S&P 500 fund versus investing in Beyblades. And don't invest in Beyblades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I am at, right? When I'm 13, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I'm closer to retirement than I'm 13.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I hear that. Mike, did you? Oh, go ahead. I think you had one more.
Yeah, the last question was, so what can the community do to help staff in decision making and making the game better and healthier?
That's a great question. I think what I've always, and this is my again, these are my personal feelings, and it doesn't represent the WVO. WVO can feel the same, but they cannot. It's fine. I do encourage people, and the reason why I wanted to create that path to make proposals is so that people do make them and make more of them, because that's the best way to get heard. Because there's a lot of threads that get created. A lot of them are just people talking, having fun, which is fine. But if you have a serious topic, something that you're passionate about, you want to get it looked at, make a proposal, because that's how you get the staff. Because making the proposal is actually, it is kind of time consuming. It is.
Yes.
To make a good argument, and don't make a 3-word proposal. Banter now. That's not a proposal. Yeah. I mean, I know that's what you want, but that's not really how you talk to people. If you want to get it done.
My bad, Shindog.
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah.
I know y'all talking about the proposals. Are they? Is it an area in the forum that you just go to, or are you just talking about in general discussion when we just make a post up?
No, right now there isn't. So it would probably just go under what makes sense. So if you want to make a change in, let's say, a metal fight ruling, you would go under metal fight customization. But if you want to make a more like, oh, this is how we shouldn't moderate people this way, then that would go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, it would go under the category where it makes sense. I think that's where the community can help out a lot, where just make your arguments easy to access and understand.
Right.
As opposed to, and you guys been on the forum. A lot of times things just devolve into like arguing.
Yeah.
We just recently had one, right? In a tournament thread. Just a tournament thread.
To be 100% honest, I had no clue that driver rule variant was going to blow up the way it did.
Sure, yeah.
I had no clue that was going to happen when I had first said that.
Yeah. And my view on that, and I do want to explain a little bit about my position. My position is, I believe the Beyblade hobby is very, very small. Yeah. I don't think it's very popular, to be honest.
It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic.
Yeah. Coming from Magic, this is tiny.
Yes.
And we're holding on by a thread. I don't know if people agree. We have very passionate fans. We do. But there's very few of them, really. There is. My next thing after Magic was poker, when poker was blowing up. So this amount of people playing Beyblade, I think like it's on life support all the time. So a lot of what I do and my focus is because I like Beyblade. You guys probably know I've gone back and I purchased all the old stuff. I'm dedicated to this game. Financially, I'm just talking about money. I spend a lot of money on the game. I want to make my investments work out. That is just who I am. Again, everything I do is for me. Everything that I do. Nothing is altruistic. I will be. Yeah, I will be very straightforward about that. So I want the game to survive. Right. So I want as many people playing however they want as possible. If you have to run tournaments in a walk and you want to get that ranked, if you can make it, do it. Run it in a rock. Yeah. I don't care. Run it in a bucket. Okay, play in your pool. Okay. A lot of that, it has to be unranked.
100%.
We have to have some. I'm not, I'm being a little, but anyway, it's more important that people spin the tops. To me. So a lot of the rules, with the Hasbro, stadium, that went out of control too, and I get all that. I'm just trying to get these things into as many hands as possible. I see my own area, the sort of the passion for Beyblade really dwindle, like my own LA area. Like most of the organizers I talked about in the beginning, none of them are organized anymore. None of them play anymore.
Right.
Okay, and we most likely we know that the series is gonna be over. Of course, hey, if the next one, what is it, Divine Filio 2 sells, I don't know, 5 billion units, I bet you it's not over. I bet you it'll be like signed on for another 5 years, but most likely it won't.
I think they're just it's gonna be like Metal Fight and Burst, because Burst has so far been the most popular series they've had.
Yeah, they
So-
made yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably just going to be like that, where, okay, we're done with Burst, maybe a year or two hiatus, then they're going to be like, here's the next thing.
I'll say,
Right.
oh, go ahead, Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but it's exactly what Geetzer said in the last one. That year or two hiatus could make or break the game.
Make or break WBO too.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, it can make it, that's what he means by it can make or break the WBO. Because
Hasbro's not going to do anything like this, right? They never have. We don't have the WBBA. So if you don't have something like the WBO, you don't have organized play. You really just don't. I mean, you could do Facebook groups. There's other countries that do that, or other regions that do that, and they're fairly successful, but they're pretty small.
I wanted to say, from my perspective, I don't. And this is weird and it's hard to say, and I'm only speaking on the business side. When it comes to competitive Beyblading, it does look like it's holding on by a thread. On the business aspect, though, I feel like Beyblade has continued to go on and will continue to go on because it is a big cash cow with Takara Tomy. Now, within the United States, Takara Tomy is not as big, but I run into a lot of my issues. I have two sources that we buy from, and one of my sources is it's not that it's unreliable, but they sell out like ridiculously quick. Like I know our store sells out a whole lot, but it just shows you the demand, because the demand, we're in the United States, but demand is not only here. And there's 4 stores, I think, like 4 big stores, like Bays and Breaks, Smaller Toys. I know Beyblade Premiere, us. Like Takara Tomy is growing and it is here. So I don't think that the toys will necessarily stop, but I 100% agree with what you're saying as far as the competitive scene. And I agree also, this was more of my argument because of some of the parents that I do talk to. Like I understand the process for becoming an organizer, or the process for doing the promotions. But some of the parents that I talk to, or some of the members, they want to be able to host their own tournaments and get promotions for it, and just spread competitive Beyblade. But it's a little bit tough for them. Some of them, like I say, and it was, I'm guilty of it, Shindog. I'm not gonna lie. It was pride, and it was being older and just going through the entirety of the process. Some other people, it's like they don't understand why you had to do so much to become an organizer. I think with in that aspect, I 100% agree with the process with ranked. With unranked though, and we talked about it on the last one with Michael Nightwing. I wish there was a little bit more leniency, because on the WBO's platform, he hosts his tournaments consistently, and he reached out to me, and I try to share that every tournament that he has. I don't try to share, I do share, and he has a nice turnout. The WBO,
yeah, I've heard about
and I
them.
love him. And I'm not saying it's private or anything with him why he's not doing the organizer thing, but I know it is tough. But just to have that, like if you have something like that on the WBO, and people could see that's something that's unranked, because sometimes ranked adds a lot of pressure. people. Like, and I was surprised by that
Yes.
because me, I was like, I'm just going to play. I didn't really care. But when they see ranked, they
Right.
don't even want to come. And I mean, I was just at the convention and I was talking to people about Beyblade tournaments, and parents were like, "No, you're not ready for that." And I didn't. They were telling their kids that, and I didn't understand like how scary it was when you throw the word ranked out, um, or like
Right.
competitive
Right.
Beyblading, and that deters people. And I mean, Beyblade Kingdom is competitive, but it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of freedom. Um, and to have something on that major
Right.
platform, and he's a YouTuber, so he can get it going. There's so many people that do love and enjoy Beyblade because you go to your local Target, at least over here, they're always sold out. On the business side, but it's the competitive
Mhm.
side that is lacking that I see. But I feel like the WBO helped the help in some way to change that. And I don't and I think it's maybe opening its doors a little bit, just even like you said about some of the rules. And this is completely with unranked. I think ranked is fine because there needs to be structure for
Mhm.
competitors like you, me, and this and that, so we can all have a level playing field. But with as far as unranked goes, open that door just a little bit more so you can get those kids that are scared to go to ranked tournaments, or maybe they want to do something like you said, like in a pool or a bucket or a walk, and they just want to have fun with their friends and have that initiative. Um, because I feel like that would drive people to to speak about it more and to be more active as far as the competitive scene goes. But that's just my thought.
No, I agree, and you know, and there are things going on behind the scenes. I'm not the best person to talk about it because some of it is technology, and
Oh yeah.
that's not me, for sure. Um, but in terms of rank, there are changes coming, but we struggle with technology sometimes because we don't have a programmer. We have somebody that kind of does
Hmm.
it as a side thing. Um, to set these things up. And I think the site runs on MyBB, which is kind of ancient in sort of technology in the technology world these days. It's not like the easiest thing to work on. So some of it is even just logistic, but I do believe. I mean, the current WBO motto is let's play Beyblade,
Yeah.
together. That is what we strive for. But again, WBO does not work
Yeah.
very fast. Let's be honest. Like we take a while to implement things. And some of it is decision making. Some of it is what the volunteers really can do. Some of it is even who the people we hire we were able to hire can do. So with all that put together, things don't move at a very fast pace. But some of your suggestions or your suggestions are being worked on. Like I do think we will see unranked as a be opened up a little more, and I am all for. I've always not entirely loved how we run rank. I think even that needs to open
Yeah.
up a little bit more because the ranked events in the end, at least in my own personal experience, is what eventually brings people out and keep coming out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, because there's some type of it's a record of achievement, and we do need to consider, and then this has already been suggested before. There needs to be like a reset and all that. All of that stuff is being looked at, and we're working at it. We are working at it.
I'm guessing
Again,
it's
that's
more a code issue or something that you're having, probably.
it is, but also in terms of just how to do the ranks again, how many different kinds of rank tournaments. There is a lot to be talked about, and
No,
okay.
I know that
I
aspect of it is tough. Like, I do. I like I like software. Um, that's what I
Mhm.
am going to school for now. That's what I deal with. I know, like, as far as like software development, um, I'm taking a course right now for the life cycle of it. It is tough, and it is a lot of planning because it's not like you have an idea and then you have to think of how can we do this, what is the most efficient way to do this, and how could we implement it so that it's effective. And it might seem like
Right.
3 simple questions, but they're very complex, especially when you have a lot of different minds in them. So I understand what you're saying.
Right, because people can't, they have to agree on the gaming side of it, like the competitive side of it, and then you have to go implement that. And then when you're implementing, you come back with a question like, well, actually, I don't want, so there's going to be some back and forth too. But I do think one thing that you said that that kind of punched me in the gut is when some people are saying, I think they told you, oh, I don't want to, I'm not ready for ranked. I see that's very unfortunate.
Right.
And that hurts me. Like that's not what that's not what I want to hear.
Yeah.
This is just spinning tops. Who
Yeah.
cares about those points?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Just come do it. It's not scary. You guys run events. Are you guys mean to the kids? No.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a good time.
I don't beat any or anything.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I generally don't beat them either, So like you're not gonna have a bad time. Like what do you mean you're not ready? You're ready.
And you know what the worst part is? Those are the kids that are missing out on like the times when they actually beat an adult, and then like that feeling they get of accomplishment from beating an adult, spinning some classic tops.
Yeah, I have a lot of like, I don't love how rank works, and it's not just the kids. The people that avoid playing, or they'll play only in events that they don't
100%.
lose points.
I was gonna.
That happens too, because of the multiplier. But we take
Easter gets upset about that multiplier.
Yeah, and trust me, I can be that way. Like when I was playing Magic, that's a long time ago. We had DCI points. I looked at those points. I want to get invited to a pro tour and play for $125,000. I want to do that.
Right.
And I'm going to protect those points.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of money. I am going to protect those points. Like if that guy is hard to beat, and if I lose to him, I'm going to lose a bunch of points. I'm going to avoid that guy.
Yeah.
This is how you play poker too. I'm here to win. We're talking about a lot of money. You don't win that much money in Beyblade, not anytime soon. So don't worry about it.
No.
So I think people should. I hope we have a system in the future that'll encourage people to come out and play. Don't worry too much about the points. I want the points to mean less. I really do. Unfortunately, I think the points mean too much to too many.
I know they do. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I mean, I like my points. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh no, I don't care. I do care about my points. Yeah, I care about the rank, but I think it does matter way too much to some individuals to the point that the game isn't. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But it's like I've seen people do even weird things at tournaments because they're so concerned about their points, like cheating and bending rules.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's another thing. Yeah.
So like I'm in this weird zone with points because it's like I'm not trying to gain points to be the best on the site. I've always just been trying to gain points to be ahead of my one friend Alan, and that's it. Like it's just like this rivalry of back and forth, and we do go back and forth. Like 1 week I have a bad tournament, he's ahead of me. Next week he has a bad tournament, I'm ahead of him, and that's just it. Like it's just a personal rivalry between me and him, and that's it. I don't really care past that point.
Right.
And I feel like that's fine. That's in a way healthy, but it's those that are like, oh, I can't lose any points ever.
I think the way you look at it, Mike, is how it should be looked at, is because it has that rivalry and it's fun. Like, yeah, you want to gain something. I think the people who are looking at it to be like, I don't ever want to lose, and I'm going to like, I'm not gonna call anybody out, but just like if it comes to the I've had my discussions about like with the cheating or like you're scouting out little kids to see what they bring up to the stadium, and it's like I feel a way about that, but because of points, and like you said, if it was money, well, I'm not gonna say cheating. If you're playing for money, then go ahead and cheat.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, if it gets you invited to Milan, which I've never been to play for 100 times, I am going to try to go to Milan. Okay, I'm sorry. And if the little kid's going to have the sideboard all over the table, I'm going to take a picture of it.
When it's sort of points, and it's like, come on, man.
Oh, I feel like, I mean, I talk to Geezer, so I know some of the things that you guys talk about with some of it, because he's knows like TSO and all them really well. But
Sure.
like what I do know is when me and Geezer have talked about the ranking system, we both agree that like if it gets to a point where it resets every year, that'll probably ease up on it, because then you get to a point where people are like, okay, sure, I worried about these points, but in a year they're gone anyway, and I can start back at zero like everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's
You
the
know?
realistic solution.
Yeah.
That's like a lifetime thing. Frankly, also, just to be honest, like let's say an area like either one of yours, okay? Because
Right.
I mean, obviously, I worked on the rankings. For you to bring up your rankings to the point where it'll rival Toronto, you guys can't just keep winning. You have to
Right.
have your whole area brought up
Yes.
because how the elo system works.
Right.
You can't, like at some point when you'll win a match, you'll get 1 point. You'll lose a match, you'll lose like 11.
Right.
So you're not gonna. I mean, if you never lose again, I wonder about you. Because Beyblade, like I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I really.
It's your blader spirit.
Yeah. So right. So at some point that just doesn't make sense. It's you have to bring up your whole area, and it'll just take years to do that. It just take and you just look at how many events that Toronto used to host. I mean, they were consistent, and they just have tons of them, and they have large ones. Large ones help, So it's unrealistic. So it's not even just seasonal rankings, and maybe even regional rankings that make more sense, because really, I mean, you like to say that you're the best player in the world, but are you really?
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
It's like, oh, you know how Americans are, like a World Series champion. How many people play this?
Right.
How much of the world play this thing?
Well, see,
we're the world champions of American football. All right.
See, I've always lived by the thing of there's always somebody
100%.
better than you.
Right, of course.
I've always lived like that. Like, cool, I'm good at this game, but guess what? Someone's better than me.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Like, and that's like looking at rankings, like, K, he's got so many points, and it's just like you'll never catch up to him. Like, the only way you're catching up to him is you have to go play him and win and not lose to anyone else in the tournament either.
Or he has to come down and just like bomb it down here.
Right. You have to do the most real. Yeah, you could go up there and keep playing people, like the high ranked people there, and play them in large events. Then you can jump up quickly because he's so far ahead. You get a bunch of. You have to stack all the multipliers, right? It's like playing an RPG. You have to stack them all, so you can do it that way. But I mean, I don't know that I personally, I don't enjoy Beyblade that way. I mean, I'm probably not gonna fly to Toronto to get some points. Again, if the end of the tournament's $125,000, I'll probably go.
Right.
But if it's not, I'm probably not gonna go.
Well, for competitive players too, like, okay, so like I came from Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So like we had regional qualifying events to qualify us for a national tournament. It would be interesting for the WBO to be able to do that, where once a year you have this big tournament and people have to play in other tournaments to qualify for it, where you have the prize support for that big tournament being a big prize support. That would draw people to do it.
So we did almost do that. The Beyblade West, that was 2019. That was initially going to be WBO X. That was the 10th anniversary of the WBO. So we had some plans of running qualifiers, and the qualifiers will win you some type of a travel package. I don't know that we were realistically going to cover. Like, we're not going to put you up in the Four Seasons so you can go down to the lobby and spin some tops. That's not fair. Yeah, clearly. But we were going to do some, like take care of some of your travel expenses, right? It would be because the idea is we don't have invitationals. Anybody can go to that's one of our models, right? Anybody can come to the WBO event, but that was going to be like a once in a while, invitational type of thing where you have to qualify to play. It's kind of like what the Florida had with North Carolina, like the final
Yeah.
one, right? Yeah. So something like that. That never materialized because, again, when you're on the WBO, you don't realize how small of an organization it really is.
Right.
Maybe because people are so passionate and then it's busy there, you don't realize how there's just not a lot of
That's true.
Beyblade playing people.
Right.
A lot of
There
the
just
communication you'll
isn't.
see is just from
You
a
know?
few people,
Yeah.
and then if you even click on their like profiles and stuff, they haven't been to a single tournament.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that happens, and the people that talk a lot don't generally play a lot, and people that play a lot don't generally talk a lot. If you notice that.
I have noticed
Yeah.
that.
Let's say, for example, somebody you talked to recently, G-Star, right? How
Yeah.
often does he post on the site? And it's not a knock.
Oh no,
It doesn't
you're right.
matter. Yeah,
No,
he's a good player. He's been
he's
around for
admitted
years.
it. He's like, I
Yeah,
don't post on the website.
he used to when he's
Yeah.
an MFB era guy.
Yeah.
So I get it, but it doesn't mean much, right? They don't have a lot of interactions there, so it's hard to get an event like that going. But again, that's something that we hope to be able to one day do. And doing things like that, obviously there's the expense part of it. Just it takes
does.
money to buy people plane tickets.
Right.
That's
I'll
sort of the bottom line too.
I'll say this much here: Konami's a big corporation. They never paid for anyone's plane ticket to
Yeah.
go to a national tournament.
I think
Right. Yeah.
They're like, you got your invite, cool.
Yeah, I think
it's all on
I think
you to
people
get there.
people would
Right.
on their way to get there if the platform was done, or even if like man, because right now like my wheels are turning because I'm big into competition. I mean, that's why I wanted to create the circuit, even though I know it's not a lot of money, but I threw those cash prizes in there to try to get. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, that's a lot for Beyblade.
yeah, I
I've
tried to
seen
get
some of the
those
prizes.
cash
Yeah.
prizes out there, and the circuit is going to be really big because I want people to come, and I want to get people out there, and I want to get it structured and the word to spread. Like Dark Continent, it's a big cash prize, especially for Beyblade. I told my wife like, yeah, $500. She's like, I didn't know you were doing that, but it's all it's all good, and because it's the hopes to get people out there and to have that big event. If the WBO had something like that, and I'm thinking in terms of if for funding and the prizes, I don't want to get like too technical, but if let's say this is scenario speaking, if you are getting a commission from your sponsor, some of that money or those prizes, especially if it's coming from the WBO, would be fed back into the community. I don't fully know how a nonprofit organization works. I don't know because I know I've seen like WBO T-shirts and like hoodies and things like that. But even in that aspect, if it was able to be given back, and I'm not saying that it be all for the prize money, but even just to have that to hold off that big venue, because if people want to come, they'll come. If you told me right now, like Florida Summer Games, I'm not sure if anyone was flown out or anything like that, but a lot of people showed up. Pretty much all of the
Oh yeah.
North Carolina scene showed up, and people from Maryland and even more want to go.
Mhm.
If you had it on the West, and I knew about it in enough time in advance, people will find a way. Especially if it's like big competition, people will find a way. And then if we are able to incorporate some type of prizing for it, like because I know I'll go, I know 100% I will. And shoot, I'd pick you up, Mike, if I had to. We'd ride out.
Yeah.
I think before the WBOX, and it's not quite what you say because it's not an invitational.
Okay.
You don't earn your way there. But every year, pretty much every year, he would do at least one convention. Usually, it's I think
I've seen that.
Anime North,
Yeah. That's the one that
and it's pretty big because it's not our biggest event ever was still probably the Baytuber Brawl. So you can see at their prime how much of a draw the Baytubers are, because that created the largest event,
Yes.
Basically it was too big. They couldn't handle it. I mean, let's be honest, like it was kind of I didn't cuss.
You're good.
Show.
You're good.
Uh,
Yeah, we know what
but
you're
it was not good. It was not good. Okay. I mean, I think anybody that went there
Yeah.
will tell you it did not run smoothly. Okay. I wasn't there. I'm almost kind of happy that I didn't go because it sounded like, God, it's a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but Kay is he's very capable because he's gotten good at it running these big events with what he has. So there is that sort of I almost see those events as sort of the annual kind of like the biggest event. But of course, I think the last one was maybe
Pre-pandemic.
2018 or something. Yeah, again, the pandemic obviously
Yeah.
no cons, right? So obviously can't do it. Yeah, so
Right.
so now maybe I think this year he's already put it in Toronto, like he's looking to do it again. So that's kind of that is sort of the de facto, if you want to call it, WBO championships. I mean, but I do understand that, and I think it would be nice that if we have a seasonal ranking or even regional, whatever it is, that those rankings will qualify you to some type of a big final or just qualifying.
I think
events.
those
Right.
Yeah, with
that
with
would
the
be fun.
rankings, I would love for the yearly thing to happen. One thing I think it will, as far as like tournaments, right now there's a lot of tournaments posted up. But if you reset the clock right now, I know people will be coming out of the woodworks to try to climb the ranks. Because you want that number one spot. I think that's with anything, money or not. Yeah, if you love it,
Yeah,
like
I believe that
you
too.
reset it
I
right
believe
now,
that
they're
too.
probably.
Yeah.
I know. I probably call bronze.
Because at that point, everyone's like, I
the
have
number
a
one in the
chance to
order.
get there. Right now, they
Yeah,
look at it, they're like, I don't have
Yeah.
a chance.
Yeah. It really depends on your region.
Yeah.
And to me, and I not everybody has to agree. Like to me, I've said this probably on Discord many times. Beyblade is kind of like how I see poker in terms of how a good player should
Yes.
win against an average player. Now you could just be bad at poker and you will lose, but if you're an average player and you play a very good player and you have like the biggest difference is your bankroll. Whoever has more money, a lot more, overwhelming more money will win.
Yeah.
Because they have more chances. But if you have about the same bankroll, so if you have about the same Beyblade, same supply of Beyblades, one person is a lot more skilled than the other, but they are sort of equal knowledge, you should win about 60% of the time.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's about it. If you win a lot more than that, something is not quite right.
Right.
Especially in Beyblade Burst.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're winning all your LADs, what's going on here?
Preach to them. Let them know. Yeah, preach.
Yeah. Like, tell me how you win all your LADs.
Yeah, but I bought the bearing drift.
Oh, well, yeah, that's gonna help a little bit.
Nah,
it's gonna
I'm
be
not
a
buying that
ridiculous
thing.
amount
That
of
thing's
money, and
gonna
it's
be
gonna
too
come out
expensive.
probably a month after.
Like I said, bankroll matters.
Bankroll doesn't matter.
I got one final question for you. It's a big Beyblade question. Wait, do I have two or? No.
Who's
Actually,
your favorite character?
I'm gonna just. I had two, but I really want to ask just this one. And this is more on the tournament side because I respect you as a blader. I have a list of bladers that I respect. Mike is up there too. And talking about rank, right now I'm not as concerned about rank, but there are guys that do want to play and I want to beat, and you are one of them. You know, if I can get out there. But what do you do when you're building your creative combos? Like, what would you say? Like, what is your style of play? And what like aids you into building your combos? Because from what I've seen, you're pretty creative. You have like a straightforward style, but like if you had to explain it, like how would you?
So, basically, I think it's pretty. I don't do anything all that different. I get a new release, and I like a little kid. I try to get it as fast as possible, right? I barely express whatever. I get it, and then I look at the parts, and I think maybe something that if I do something different, and it's not that different, is that I have played Beyblades backwards. I started with Beyblade Burst, then I went to play MFB, then I played HMS, then I played Plastic. So I played it completely backwards. And as you go back, you just because Beyblades didn't really get that much better or complicated. It really didn't. The parts still they just copy their old ideas to some degree. So as you play backwards, you do get a lot of understanding of how things probably should work. So it's drawing on previous knowledge, maybe, and understanding. But at this point, I like to think when I look at a driver or look at a disc, I have some idea what I want to do with it. And that's not only from Burst, because Burst, it may be something new to Burst, but it's not new to Beyblade.
Right.
So that's one way of looking at it. So I get a part and I do my testing. I do not test as much as I used to. I used to be pretty dedicated on testing and things like that, but I have to admit I'm not as into testing, because it's just, as there's more parts, theoretically you will have to test a lot more.
Yes,
it's exponential, right? Because you can't test all the matchups anymore. It's like in Beyblade, it's impossible. Beyblade's never run this long. I mean, this Beyblade is as long as the previous gens combined.
Yes.
Yeah, it's long. There's a lot more Beyblades, a lot of parts. There's a lot of parts. You can't test them all. So, and I do, just like I always did when I was playing TCGs. I am not a builder. There are guys that are builders. I was on a team. I'm not the deck builder. I'm the player. I still am the player. So I steal a lot of ideas.
I love you.
A lot of ideas. I look at the winning combos. I look here. I look in Asia.
Oh,
see, I'm bilingual, so that helps too. So I look over there, but of course, some of the stuff is my own. Some of the stuff I built is my own. Especially they have formats that we have formats that they don't have, like Classic. And I have some new stuff that I started using that no one else was using. So obviously those came from me. But it's not that many. Lots of people are smart. A lot of people have good combos. It's just about stealing from other people's ideas and putting it together into your own thing. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You just don't see the bombs because we do the winning combo list. And the ones that loses all of them, you don't see them. Right? So you don't see the bombs. It's like, oh wow, that's so smart. You don't see the other 100, right?
Well, that's like Geetzer said, like when the anime and stuff for Metal Fight stopped and they stopped making products, like that gave people the time to actually play with everything. And try new things and different things. And I'm hoping the same thing for Burst. Like once BU is over, if they're like, okay, that's it, there's no more after this for Beyblade Burst, and okay, we might have a year or two, but that year or two is shifting through all these parts and trying combinations you never would have thought of because you're so used to, okay, well, I'm just looking at the meta parts because there's a new thing coming out every month. And that's it.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of a very that's a very important time to have the hiatus. I think competitive Beyblade can grow a lot, but you do expect like the kids to kind of go away because once there's no anime, I still think the anime pushes engagement and sales because the anime is really just a commercial. Like it forces you to watch half an hour of like a commercial.
That's what got my kids into it, was watching on Netflix.
So so it helps, to have the anime. So, again, so a lot of the sort of the core group of these, or good players, or whatever you want to call them, are in their 20s, right? Because they were late teens or early teens during MFB.
Right.
So naturally now they're in their 20s. By the next generation, are they still here? Or are they in their 30s and they're raising their very young kids, right? Are they really still going to be around? Because the highest could be 1, 2, 3. It depends, right? We don't know. And hopefully, during this time, I do think there's a leaner time. There's going to be some leaner times that we can explore Burst more, and maybe for some people to catch up on the older formats when it's still affordable. Like MFB is still somewhat affordable. People can try those because they're very, very good.
I've just now started getting into MFB.
I've always said Burst is actually my least favorite. I'm considered a Burst player, but it's my least favorite. I think
Yeah.
Beyblade gets better as you go backwards. Like plastics was best. I
I
really
started
do.
with plastic, so
Yeah, did you keep them because they're worth money?
I have one. I have Dronzer GT.
Okay, that's not bad, but it's not gonna buy you a house. No.
No, it's not gonna buy me a house. I had that, and then I had Dronzer HMS or Dronzer MS that I kept
That's
rolling
also
out.
not bad. It's worth depending on the
I
condition.
lied.
That's
I
worth
lied
some
last
money.
podcast. I said I
But
didn't
so
have any
I
plastics. I was
yes.
gifted a plastic from Beyblade Challenge. I have Black Dronzer,
Ah.
and I was
Oh yeah, no, that's an expensive, pretty
it's the
expensive
one
plastic thing.
Beyblade that
Yeah.
because I did like the plastic anime series. Well, let me not say I like Metal Fusion the most just because of Ryuga, and I don't like the dub version.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and say that, but yeah, I do have that plastic. My bad to cut
Yeah.
you off. But yeah, my one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the hiatus can be really, really good for competitive play. Is it good for the growth of WBO? I'm gonna guess it isn't.
Right.
And I like the WBO to grow. I do think we're small, and people can disagree, but I want more people to play Beyblades, so my investment is a good one.
There you go.
Yeah, that's really my motivation in terms of volunteering, in terms of hosting and playing. I want to host to a point where I
Yeah.
never have to host again. I just show up and play. That's also very true because I don't actually enjoy
That's a good
organizing
goal.
events.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
I
I
would
feel
say
you on that.
I think I enjoy it, but it is stressful and taxing. Right now, I think I'm used to it, but I know when I first started doing it, well, I won't say I'm a good player now, but I know I would be so caught up and worried, and I would have the bubble guts before it would start, and I wouldn't even think about like building combos or looking at any.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because you want things to go well, right? You don't want to like not finish the event, and that's a legitimate worry that we dealt with recently when we have all these draws and the sun's going down or it's getting cold, and like, oh, we can't finish. I don't want our organizers to be worried about that. So some of the things I've advocated is trying to address that. We're still a problem. We're not finished. I mean, it's still very much a problem. But I
Been
know
there.
there's been some discussion. So, we want to make it easier to organize. We want to make it engaging, whatever it's with the rank points, to encourage people to come out. They shouldn't be afraid to come out. It should be easier. I don't mind smaller events. I want smaller events in lots of places. If we can get smaller events in lots of places, they can eventually turn to bigger events in big
I hear that
places.
100%. I wanted
Yeah.
to. I appreciate all this, Shindog. Do you have any questions for us?
If you guys have any, like, what is you both, or you are prolific, organizers. If you could ask, I mean, I can only speak about organized play. If you can have like a wish list of what you want implemented, what would be first on the list?
I probably don't.
I don't think you
jumping
do.
the gun. You can go first because I think I need to think about that.
I want the spinning definition changed.
Okay, that would be the number one thing on your list.
That's the number one thing. Not even the driver rule variant. It's the spinning definition.
Okay, I can agree with that. I think that's fundamental. I've jokingly said, I don't know if you saw it. We have 3 win conditions in burst. 2 of them we don't know what they mean.
Right.
We don't have a play area definition, so we don't know what's out of bounds. It's actually not in the rule book. It just says play area. It does not tell you what the play area is. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
It's like a basketball court with no lines on the outside.
I feel like if you were going to just use a definition like that, you also would need a picture giving a diagram.
Right, which the WBBA has. They have a picture of it. But anyway, that's one thing. The other one is spinning. We don't actually know. Like, when you stop, you lost, but we don't define what that is.
Right.
So, yeah. But anyway, that's a very good one. Okay.
I don't know what mana is. I was sitting here and I'm trying to think. I think like Mike, you definitely that was a good one because nobody knows really what's spinning, rolling, because the definition is very, very weird. I guess
because
Ross
tell
is
you
like the
something
only
interesting.
person I've met that takes that definition to the literal extreme.
But I will tell you, even then,
Mhm.
I'm not saying he's incorrect.
Yeah,
But I
I
also
think
can't
that's
tell you
what
that
makes
he
it
is
tough.
correct.
Exactly.
That's what makes
And
it tough.
that's the conversations that we've had.
Because what I used to do and what I still do, people send me a lot of videos. What do you think? And this is the call make. I can tell you the definition of spinning in the WBO is very regional. It's
Mhm.
like barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Everybody does it
That's a
differently.
great analogy. Yeah.
That's not quite great. If we want to if we're thinking like this, rank system has to have a high level of sort of competitive consistency. That is not
I think it's
competitive
so tough
consistency.
because it is 100%. Even at my tournaments, depending on the judge you get, you may win or lose. And depending
Oh
on the
yeah,
judge
yeah,
you
yeah,
get,
of course.
and
Yeah,
I think it's tough to define. I think even if there was a solution, I feel like if it's too close to call it a draw. That's one of the reasons why I like 3v3. Call it a draw. Go on to the next.
yeah, yeah. And some of this is,
Yeah.
we do have to blame it on the manufacturer, because if you go back to the previous
Mhm.
gens, the draws were not this bad. They did
To the
take this
extreme.
LED thing, or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, to the extreme.
Yeah.
Like, the game is built on that. I mean, sure, I think attack is fine. All of that is fine, but it doesn't
Yeah.
change the fact that they built this to the extreme. Like, there's
Metal
so many
drift bearing and
drivers,
metal
so
bearing
many
drift,
of them.
like the throw.
Yeah, it's just so
Yeah.
many. Yeah, like, and they're just so close. Yeah, it's not designed for even like if we have like some sort of a what do you call those machines that check spin, like a tachometer? Anyway, I forget what they're called. If we have machines like that to judge the events, fine. But
Yeah.
human, I'm
It's
not
tough.
sure.
And when you
I'm not
look at
sure
the
we can make
replays
it
in
perfect.
slow mo,
Yeah.
after this happened at the circuit. The first time you watch it, it's like, okay, yeah, I think that's a win. But after you watch that thing like 5 times, you're kind of like, I don't know. It looks like I don't know. It's just really, 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 really tough call. I guess if I had to choose one, it would be
Yeah.
right. And I don't even know how to word it, but I guess allowing players to utilize um their Beyblades more, or their money more. Yeah, the gimmicks. Because if
The gimmicks.
you're paying money for the
Mm-hmm.
bays, you should be able to use it. And it's not just that. It is I feel like it's a high level of skill now with all that the Dynamite Burst Beyblades are able to do for high and low mode. Or rotational change.
Mm-hmm.
Even with you don't just have like rotational change was one modification at one time, but the fact that you can go into high and low mode and you throw something like extend plus, you have like about 9 variations you can do with your Beyblade, like just one if you would go with like Astral Spriggan. And it of course it can be an advantage, but it also takes skill to know what you need to do against an opponent. And I guess I would say that that's something to look into for the money aspect, as well as the competitive side, as far as being for players to be able to utilize their products more. Um,
Yeah, well, that's a good one too. That's something that I care about too. I brought that up a lot. It's not
Well,
being able to use the gimmicks,
yeah,
you're
I'm
getting
sure.
half of what you're paying for.
Well, it's like I was reading around in the Discord the other day, and people were talking about different things like that, and I had said what I had said in the Discord was I feel like what the WBO might need to look into is taking the base rules of the WBBA and using them, but then you can make your own formats, but still keep the base rules of the game the same.
Yeah, I
Because
agree, because it's there, right? And they
right,
do make the toys, they make the products, they make the rules to fit the products, or products to fit the rules. So
right,
they have an advantage in rule making because
right,
they create both sides of it, right?
right.
And I think that's a good approach. And also it doesn't we don't have to follow, like you said, we don't have to follow all of it. We can still
I
have
do
our
like.
own spin
Oh,
on
go
it,
ahead.
but it's a good starting
Right.
point. And also, one last thing is, where did we get the initial burst rulebook? Where did it come from? Because it's from the beginning, it was different.
Right.
I never figured that out. Like, where did that come from? Did we take it from MFB?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure. I actually don't know. No one's told me. Like, a lot of people ask me questions. They think I have the answer. I don't. like I was like, well, okay, because if there's a toy, right? If Monopoly comes to your house, right? A lot of people in families, they play Monopoly. They have their own house rules, right?
Right.
But you base it on the rule that's in the box first. You gotta know. I gotta roll 2 dice, not just one. That one's not a spare. You know, you gotta do all that. So how do we come about with the burst rulebook?
Man, that's like
that was already pretty different.
That's
That's a mystery.
Philosophical question. I've never really thought about it either. Like, man, where did it? And I did. Yeah, it's like
right? Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes
like,
you wonder where my mind goes.
I really didn't think of that. I was gonna say something else. I can't remember it right now, but what did you say, Mike? What was your response? You said, and I can't.
With what?
Yeah. No.
To his question?
What? And then you said
just the definition of spinning.
One more thing after that. I think after he
taking the base rules of the WBBA. That was his next.
That's what I was gonna say. I do like the variation. I'm glad that we are not just like the WBBA. Not in the sense of like, because I love the way the WBBA plays, but I love that the differences that we are able to implement. And I do like deck. I do like deck. There's like, I think, yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. You have the base rules as in the fundamentals of how the Beyblades work the same, but you can change your format. You can have 5G, you can have 3G, you can have pick 3, choose 1. All that we could still have, but the base rules, the rules on spinning, rules on mode changing, stuff like that,
100%.
we could implement from WBBA.
That's a really good point. And you know what we have in first stage right now, which is you have 3 choices, right? You can play 3-on-3. You can play pick 3, choose 1. You have 1. You could play a single bay. I'm not a big fan of single bay, but I understand why sometimes it has to be there. And I like to see that maybe implemented for something like that for the finals too. And here's why: we have organizers from 13 and up, right? That's one of the. We don't have that many requirements anymore. You don't have to have the posting and all that, but you have to be 13. Or else and even at 13, you need to have your parents' consent. We're supposed to get your parents to email us saying, okay, I will be there too.
Yes.
You know, they can host, stuff like that. But someone that's 13 has limitations in terms of, for example, like Crisis, you can stay out late. Like, oh, tournament's not over. I'm just going to stay out for another hour. Right. Some 13-year-old may not be able to do that.
Right.
When the parents says you're gonna finish at 5, you're gonna finish at 5.
That's true,
right? And if they can't finish at 5,
actually that happens here with one of our organizers,
right?
I feel bad. I can't even like sugarcoat it. I feel bad for those kids because I understand it's something they're doing, something they love and enjoy, and but I also understand like parents don't fully understand like we do because we're involved with this, but those parents, they may have something going on. They may have to go to a soccer game for one of their other kids or something like that, and I get it.
Right. It's totally fine for parents. This is just another thing that he does, little Johnny does. He's gonna be over it in like 6 months. This is all we're gonna devote to it. That's it. Right? But then they want to host, and we want to make it easy for them to host. So you have to have formats that they can actually run.
Right.
You can't have a deck format for 2.5 hours for some of them because they have 2.5 hours.
That makes sense.
They can't do it,
man. I really appreciate all the insight that you've given because from the staff viewpoint, because like we said in all the podcasts, we have our viewpoints and there's things that we see, but the time and the effort that y'all put in, I really appreciate it. Like, we genuinely appreciate it, and it is great thoughts because I'm not a fan of single bay either. But I like looking at it from that aspect. Like, I really, really, really get it, and I appreciate that insight, man. I appreciate all of this. It's very helpful for us, very helpful to the listeners. Yeah, thank you. Did either one of y'all have anything else to speak on, or any questions?
Nope, I think I'm
Oh,
good.
I'm good, but yeah, I'm very happy. Especially you guys really, uh, you
Yeah.
thank goodness, I guess, thank God for you guys, because you really have, uh, I think you have given your regions more life. I really think you've both contributed a lot to this hobby. And I appreciate that. I really do. In the end, and I know I don't agree
Yeah.
with it, but I have strong opinions. I know all that. But in the end, my goal, like I said, is for this hobby to be successful, and only because I'm a selfish person, and I want
Yeah,
it. I want
it's
my
all good.
investment to be worth every penny.
We're here to protect your interests.
Yeah.
And I'm um I'm not gonna speak for you, Mike, but all the selfish talk, I mean, I'm the same way. My kids got these toys. I fell in love with them. I was like, I'm gonna do all I can to play and to have fun. And yeah, we go out there, we host tournaments. I want to build it. I want to get the best competition that we can have. I mean, I want the store to grow. I would love to be financially stable off the store, to sit around and play Beyblades and watch anime all day. Um,
And that's great. I
yeah,
want all the Beyblade stores
yeah,
to be successful, right? I want to sell tons of these things so that I can run an event
true,
down my block,
true.
so I don't even have to drive to the
Yeah,
park.
Right. Where I
yeah.
host, I have to drive
Oh, I
45 minutes.
Right. And
Technically, I do have. Yeah.
you do that to get enough participation, right?
no.
To make it
Correct.
easy for everybody, because it's not easy for you. You rather drive
That's
5 minutes,
Right.
right? Let's work on that. Let's
I
get to
literally
the
have.
point.
I literally have
yeah,
a park that's like 2 minutes from my house,
Right.
but it's
Right.
like. I will drive closer to the Washington, D.C. area because I know there's a lot
yeah.
of players up there
Right.
that will come. And they'll come
It's
more if it's closer to them than it is to me.
And that tells me Beyblade's not big enough.
Right.
So hello, Beyblade community. Unfortunately, the audio cut off for the rest of the recording, but pretty much all I was saying was, as you can hear, we're just trying to grow information for the Beyblade community, especially the competitive side of it. And the only way that can happen is from you all getting out there and spreading the word, having local tournaments. Letting your friends know, letting your family know, letting your parents know, or if you're an adult that's interested, like just trying it out to help grow the community and build something, I guess, build something great. Hope you enjoyed the show. Continue listening and take care.